You're watching How Sparks Make a Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's been quite the conversation tonight. And most of the time it's been, duos, multiple sources. But we're going to go right now to a man who on his own can hold down the idiot farm by himself. The commando, you should not drink and bake, of right-wing morons. And that would be our favorite, what's his name? Stretch Ben Shapiro, Jesse Waters, who wants to talk to you. Hold on. So these guys apparently did a FOIA request for all the information about the cocaine that was found at the White House. Yeah. Because there isn't anything in the news that's meaningful to and I guess they're trying to push back on the Sleepy Joe idea, or insist on the Sleepy Joe thing, and maybe he needs coke to do it or something. But anyways, this is the Coke Files, which, by the way, curiously, if this was on any other network, would probably be about the Koch brothers, and it wouldn't be flattering. But let's listen now. Jesse Waters discusses how Primetime obtained the White House cocaine documents and how everything about it that was said about it was a lie. This is lies. Lies, I tell you, liar, you bigot liar. Here we go.
News alert, Primetime FOIA'd the Secret Service over the cocaine investigation.
And I'm already bored. Your hands clasped together like this. Tell me, because you're doing it in a sincere way instead of the comedically silly way that I do it, that you're not comfortable with the details that you're about to talk about, and you wish they were better because it's weird. Here we go.
And we just got back over 100 pages of documents.
Oh yeah, and most people would go through those documents and then build something on it, but you just got it. Just start grabbing stuff that looks hot to you. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to work out more later. Post all of it online.
And the Secret Service has been lying to you.
Oh my God. That's not the Secret Service isn't telling the whole truth in public. You know what? They might have earned that name after all.
About everything.
Everything. Joe Biden's not the president. Donald Trump still is, and he never was. And he did try to choke somebody, and he never tried to choke somebody. And he wasn't even in the Beast. He was in one of the SUVs, but that's not important.
Here's why.
Okay, good.
When the cocaine was first found, they
You were salivating, yes?
said it was in the library where the first family lives.
Right. We all know how to play Clue. You sure it wasn't in the study with the candlestick? Has Colonel Mustard been doing blow off of Miss Scarlet again? Is that?
We have a yellow bar stating cocaine, hydrochloride, and that's found in the library.
Then there were reports that the cocaine was actually found outside the Situation Room.
Now the investigation has progressed, and so they're saying the West Executive entrance, which, as you noted, is closer to the Situation.
What do you want to think that there's like three areas that are relatively close together, and you can see the doors from where you're standing, and so people are using different reference points for one hallway. It's two doors and an exit, and they're basically, it's on that side of the building. And no, I'm sorry, my mistake. This is very exciting.
Room.
The Secret Service then said no, it was in a cubby.
By the way, that is a huge cubby and a pretty big bag of Coke. By the way, all by itself. That's interesting. So that this person didn't have anything else. They just had a classic movie prop bag of Coke. They just fabulous. Yeah, and that's a big locker. So how big is that fucking envelope? About this big? What do you think? She's like, Jesus, it was going to be a long weekend.
With a lot of foot traffic around it. And yes, there are cameras, but that particular cubby was in a blind spot. How do you mistake the library for the Situation Room?
I don't know. I think maybe it's near both. Like one hallway leads down to the Situation Room and a lot of people go there. or talk about that space in their coverage will reference that, whereas other people will mention the library because of the door right next door to be more specific. But the other ones are like, it sounds sexier near the Situation Room, so the news will talk about it differently. I'm sorry, I'm talking normal again to this fucking dipshit.
And the Situation Room for the Cubbies. Because when I'm in a library, I know I'm in a library because there's books everywhere.
Oh dear. You know, there's books in the Situation Room too. Just saying.
Does it?
And by the way, that's a little bitty cubby, or that's a giant fucking wall. So now how big is that fucking bag of Coke? About this big? Somebody snuck this in their pee hole. What in the world? Dun, dun, dun!
Look like there's books everywhere?
I don't know, because I can't see anything but this wall of lockers, and I can't see the doors next to it, or the room around it, or if it's the live. You're an asshole. I don't even know why.
That's a wall of Cubbies.
Right, and it's a specific photograph of the wall of Cubbies that does not show the surrounding area, so I really couldn't tell you if it might be in the library. Maybe it's behind the desk. I don't know. Can we ask the librarian? Will you have her on as a guest?
They say the Coke was found in locker number 50, right there in the middle.
Okay, so we're not even seeing from the top down. Jesus Christ. How many walls? Locker number 50. I'm going to go with 5th floor. We're going, the 5 just means segment of the area, and then the 0 is the first one. It's just kind of the generalized one, and then 1 is assigned to a room, and 2, or there are 49 other Cubbies they had to check for Coke before they got to this one?
And there's a key missing.
Uh-oh. Well, there you go. There seem to be more than a few key missings. I only see 1, 2, 3. I see 4 keys in this picture. 5, maybe.
And what do you think the chances are that the Secret Service has the key?
I would say that they have a master key that fits all of them instead of walking around jangling like a fucking janitor in the White House.
Because Primetime thinks the Coke may have been planted in the cubby after it was found in the library.
I see. By Miss Scarlett, or... That's what you think? You think that? And you got this idea from...
Good thing we have the documents from the Secret Service right here. But here's the thing. The Secret Service redacted where the cocaine was first found. Now, if the cocaine was actually first found in the cubby, and they photographed it in the cubby, why would they redact that?
Standard operating procedure about where things are stored.
And then at one point, the Secret Service says this suspicious substance is a white powder in a small Ziploc bag on the redacted lobby floor.
Okay, so someone saw that on the ground, thought it might be dangerous, put it in the locker, and called the Secret Service because white powder is scary when you're in the government. Unless, of course, you're, or I guess if you're Chevy chasing modern problems, it's less scary.
What lobby floor?
The I don't know, the press lobby. I'm going with where the press comes and goes.
The lobby into what room? The library?
The library doesn't have a lobby.
And I thought they found the cocaine in the cubby. Well, the cubby's not on the floor. The cubby.
Maybe they meant on the ground floor, and they just redacted ground, and so it's not the first. It's the first floor versus the second floor, and that's what they meant by floor, not on the actual floor.
Cubby's on the wall. And later on in the night,
I'm glad we're working this out.
They said it was in the cubby, and they didn't redact that. They want us to think it was found in that little locker.
I'm trying to care. I really am, guys. I'm trying desperately to give a shit. It's sad when you're halfway through your zinger. This is a 4-minute and 55-second clip about this. He's halfway through it, and so far it sounds like he was playing Clue with the family and went, "Fuck this, I'm out."
And initially, after the hazmat team tested it, the white powder came back positive for opioids and amphetamines. It was only after additional tests that they determined it to be cocaine. And that's confusing because on the audio you heard from hazmat, it was cocaine.
Riveting.
A white powdery opioid? That's fentanyl. Maybe. I thought these tests were supposed to be accurate. So far.
Well, they do generic tests and then specific tests, and also it could have been mixed. A lot of times, coke can be cut with fentanyl, but it can be the vast majority of it is cocaine. So when you test it further, it'll test as cocaine, but it has traces of fentanyl in it as an opioid. That's not uncommon.
This bag has tested positive for opioids, amphetamines, cocaine, caffeine, and baking soda.
So it's stepped on. This is just shit. This is not professional quality dope, man. This shit is shit. This shit is bad. You mean the shit is bad like, no, this is bad shit. Like, the shit is bad? No, this shit isn't worth shit. It's shit. Anybody caught on the street with this would be killed. What movie?
But here's where it gets even more suspicious.
It's not suspicious so far. It feels like I'm suspicious where you learn to read. Also, why are there now 7 bags of coke and a guy talking into his wrist? I mean, I've seen people fucked up before, but even the crazy ones don't talk into their shirt sleeve.
Told us they didn't find any DNA, but the documents say they did. Remember, the coke baggies been blown up. The Secret Service took the evidence from Quantico and they destroyed it. They didn't want the FBI to have it. But there's more evidence that they did.
Well, it's because it tested largely for cocaine doesn't mean it was safe, and it was a toxic substance in the White House. That's standard operating procedure.
Didn't destroy an envelope with 3 tubes of DNA. Where'd they get the DNA from? They got the DNA off the baggie. So the Secret Service lied.
Right, and it's going to be the people who handled the baggie in the process where somebody picked it up and don't pick that up. Wait till the hazmat team gets here. And then, all right.
So did the White House. They did find DNA on the baggie. And the DNA was processed and has been moved to an evidence vault for preservation. So the Secret Service has an insurance policy.
I see. So the Secret Service is blackmailing the librarian. No. Colonel Mustard. No.
We asked the Secret Service for an explanation.
Thank you. A bunch of people got running scared. I love you. I love all of you in the chat room. Running scared.
And they said, oh, it's secondary DNA. But the initial Secret Service report clearly said there was no DNA found and there is no physical evidence. But the documents show they're keeping a DNA sample in an evidence locker.
Right, in case they have to charge somebody later because they've excluded that person because they weren't around when it would have been dropped off, and in case later it comes back that they were the one that was handling it, and they were like, oh, I found this, oh shit, because they thought somebody saw them with it and whatever.
Is this so Biden's dog bites another agent, they have something?
Yeah, that's what it's for. Yep. Case closed. This is you spent all day on this, right? You got 44 seconds left.
We don't know.
All right, well, 44 seconds of we don't know.
And the Secret Service told Primetime they may end up destroying the DNA evidence at some point down the road,
Right, if there's not a case, you can't maintain DNA samples forever without a court order.
Protocol.
Right.
Primetime.
By the way, I would like to remind you that apparently Jesse Waters is arguing that if there are samples of DNA at any site that's suspicious or criminal or suspected of being criminal, that law enforcement keep that DNA and categorize it in perpetuity forever in a database so that they can keep track of where you've been all the time, even if you were just in a place and and leaned against a wall.
I'm asked the Secret Service, why didn't you take DNA samples from your suspect list? They said they would have needed a court order.
Right?
This tells me two things.
They didn't have enough evidence to point to anybody in particular being there.
The Secret Service didn't want to crack the case.
Yeah, they're not an investigatory body most of the time, but
Or the Secret Service knew the coke was found in the library.
and they didn't want to get rid of the librarian. They didn't want to get fired because she's like, just the fucking, if she could find a fucking book for you, you need a fucking book, man. She fucking could find that book for you, bitches, in like 2 fucking, ow! Shit, welcome to the library. Ha ha! What do you need? There it is. How about that? I've worked here. I'm 71 years old. I've worked here for the last 50 fucking years, baby. And yeah, there's your book, there's your book, there's your book, there's your book. So yeah, most libraries are slow. Not this one, bitches.
And put it in a cubby. And close the case. Hey.
But they didn't close the cubby. What? Oh, thank God for that. I'm glad they put in that FOIA request. It's just gutsy and smart. And can I show you something awful real quick? Just real quick. We don't even have to do the clip. I just want to show you. This is Mark Levin's thumbnail. That's Mark Levin's thumbnail. Biden would rather trash America than our terrorist enemies. That's the thumbnail for that. You know, I'm always kind of amazed when there are moments when Mark Levin can cross that line. Still exists.